The moon was cold. Not just cold in temperature, but cold in silence, in fear, and in the way it had been forgotten not. 1,000 refugees lived there now. They were once proud people, farmers, teachers, artists, scientists. But when the war came, their world burned. They ran. They begged for help from the great civilizations of the galaxy. But every race turned their ships away. Now they lived on this dead rock, hidden behind a broken mountain range. Their camp was made of torn tents and cracked metal shelters. The sky above was gray and quiet. Their power was running out. Food was dry, tasteless, and almost gone. Water came in drops. And still, no one came. Children cried at night. The old ones had stopped talking. And the leaders? They had no words left to give. Each day, they climbed the tallest rock to look at the stars, hoping, just hoping, someone might care. And then it happened. One of the young lookouts, a boy with sharp eyes and thin arms, saw at first a small flash in the sky. At first, he thought it was a falling star, but then the light grew. It became a shape, a ship incoming. The boy shouted. The camp came to life. People stumbled from their shelters. Eyes turned upward. Hope returned for the first time in weeks. Some cried. Some prayed. Others didn't believe what they were seeing. The ship was black, sleek, not like the others. It made no noise. It didn't flash bright lights or play songs like the merchant. Ships once did. It simply descended slowly, calmly, like it knew exactly where to go. Do you think it's the Varn? One woman asked. No, the elder replied. The Varn said we were a lost cause. Maybe the Tolari? They promised help last month. No, they don't send ships anymore. The ship landed outside the camp, just beyond the safety fence. Dust rose around it, like a soft storm. Its engines hissed once, then stopped. No door opened. The refugees waited. Minutes passed, and then the ramp extended. Out of the shadows came a single figure, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing strange armor, scratched with what looked like old battles and blood. The helmet was shaped like no species they knew. When the figure stepped into the sunlight, the armor reflected a mark, a blue and white symbol shaped like Earth. A human. Someone whispered. People froze. Humans were rare here, far away from their home systems. Known for their strange strength, for their unmatched courage, but also feared, because when humans arrived in war zones, it meant something had gone very, very wrong. The figure took off the helmet. It was a man, pale-skinned, dark hair, eyes like steel. He looked around the camp slowly. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He walked straight toward the center of the camp, where the council tents used to stand. Children stepped back. Some hid behind torn cloth. Adults whispered, unsure if this was a rescue or something worse. When he reached the old fire pit, the human stopped. Then he said the first words anyone had heard from off-world in months. Who's in charge here? A woman stepped forward, her face thin, her arms trembling, but her voice strong. I am, or I was. We have no power, no defense. If you've come to take from us, I've come, the human said, because no one else did. Silence followed. He looked around again, then walked to a dying generator humming weakly in the corner. He touched a panel on his wrist. Within seconds, his suit extended a small wire into the generator. It roared back to life. Lights flickered across the camp. The heaters buzzed again. A nearby food printer blinked green for the first time in weeks. The people gasped. But the human still didn't smile. He turned to them and asked, how many are sick? How many wounded? How long since you ate real food? We don't know. The woman said, we stopped counting. Why are you doing this? The human didn't answer immediately. He looked up toward the stars. Then he spoke quietly, because you were left to die. And Earth doesn't forget what that feels like. No one moved. Some cried. Others just stared. The human turned back toward his ship and tapped something on. His wrist again. In the sky above, 3 more ships came out of warp. Bigger ones. He looked at the people and said just 4 words. Help is coming now. Asterisk. The sky was no longer empty. 3 more human ships arrived, breaking through the clouds like quiet giants. They didn't shine with colors. They didn't play music. They came with purpose. Strong, silent, ready. The camp watched in silence. Even the children forgot their fear. One by one, the ships landed in formation around the first one. Their engines roared low and heavy, kicking up dust and smoke. From inside came shapes, humans in armor, helmets glowing slightly in the mist. Some carried medical kits. Some carried weapons. All of them moved with the same look, calm, focused, and ready for anything. The man from before stood in the center of it all. He watched the others deploy like clockwork, as if this mission had been practiced 100 times before. He looked at the refugees. We begin now. No long speeches. No promises. Just work. Human medics rushed to the sick. Engineers knelt by the water systems. Drones unfolded and began mapping the terrain. A tall soldier with a scar across his face placed a small black device into the ground. It blinked once, then expanded into a glowing energy shield that wrapped around the camp like a dome of light. The refugees had never seen anything like it. Who are they? One child asked. Humans, the elder whispered. But not like the stories. Not monsters. Not saviors either. Something else. A group of soldiers passed by with calm steps. One of them carried a heavy cannon on his back, like it weighed nothing. Another had a case full of food packs. A young refugee boy ran forward. Sir, can I help? The soldier looked at him, surprised, then gave a nod. Carry this. He handed the boy a packet of protein bars. The boy held it like treasure. Meanwhile, the camp leader, the same woman who spoke earlier, approached the main. Human. She still didn't know his name. You never told me who sent you. He glanced at her. Earth Command. They sent you. Just like that? He didn't answer. Why now? She asked again. He finally looked at her, eyes cold and sharp. Because we received your signal. A signal buried under 10 levels of jamming. You weren't supposed to be heard. But a glitch in the system made it slip through. One glitch, one moment. That's all it took. She blinked. That was weeks ago. He nodded. And here we are. She stepped back, amazed. Do all humans respond this fast? No, he said. Only when the galaxy decides someone isn't worth saving. That's when Earth moves fastest. Suddenly, an alarm buzzed in his earpiece. He turned sharply. Smoke. West side. Possible breach, a soldier said. Without a word, the commander marched to the edge of the camp. Dust and gray smoke hung, thick in the air near the storage sheds. He walked straight through it. Behind him. A few soldiers followed. The leader of the refugees followed 2. Inside the smoke. A figure moved. It wasn't human. A small alien, skin pale, eyes wide, was coughing. He held a sharp object, trying to cut into one of the supply crates. He didn't see the humans approaching. The commander didn't shout. He didn't shoot. He simply walked until the alien noticed him and froze. Please, the alien begged. I didn't mean my sister's hungry. I only wanted... The human walked forward and knelt. He pulled something from his belt and tossed it to the alien. A full food packet. Take it, he said. And your sister. Come inside the shield. No one steals when they're fed. The alien stared at him. But you don't know me. I don't need to, the human said. You're here. That's enough. The smoke cleared slowly. The commander stood up and faced his people. No more dying, he said. His voice echoed like thunder through the camp. No more begging. No more hoping someone shows up. Earth is here now, and we don't leave family behind. Some refugees gasped. Others dropped to their knees. A few started to believe. Back at the landing zone, a soldier approached the commander. We have incoming. 5 ships Varn Empire colors. They've seen our beacon. The commander's eyes narrowed. Did they send a message? No, sir. Just scanning us. The commander looked up at the gray sky. Let them scan. The Varn ships hovered above the dead moon, like vultures over a wounded animal. Their dark metal hulls glowed red under the weak light. They didn't send warnings. No greetings. Just silence. And scans. The human commander stood in the middle of the refugee camp, eyes fixed on the sky. Around him, soldiers checked their weapons. Engineers rushed to finish building portable defenses. Medical teams moved the sick and young into reinforced shelters. But the commander didn't move. He simply said one word: activate shield. A soft hum. The energy dome surrounding the camp shimmered to full power. It was invisible to the eye, but the soldiers knew no normal weapon would break through it. The camp leader stepped beside the human. Will they attack? He nodded. If they realize we're not leaving, yes. And you? You will stay? The commander looked at her, calm and certain. We didn't come all this way to turn around. Not today. Up in orbit, the Varn. Captain sneered as he watched the camp through his screen. Humans, he spat. Always dramatic, always interfering. A younger officer replied, Sir, they've raised shields. And more Terran ships are arriving from slipspace. Then, we strike now before they outnumber us. The Varn fleet adjusted formation. Weapons locked. A countdown began. Back on the moon, the refugees watched nervously. They didn't understand the human technology, but they felt it, the weight in the air, the tight silence before a storm. The commander raised his wrist communicator. All Terran units, hold the line. Phase cannons ready. Mechs on standby. One soldier whispered to another, You think they'll really fire? They don't know who they're messing with. Just then, the sky cracked. The first Varn blast came screaming through the clouds like lightning forged from hatred. It struck the shield directly above the camp. Boom! The shield held. The air shimmered. Dust flew. Children screamed. Mothers pulled them close. Inside the shield, nothing was harmed. The commander didn't even blink. He tapped his wrist again. Return fire. From behind the hills, 4 hidden Terran rail platforms emerged. They had been placed earlier quietly, efficiently. Their barrels raised in unison. With a deep thunk, they launched sonic shells upward, silent, deadly, and fast. The Varn ships never saw it coming. The first blast tore through a Varn engine. Flames erupted. The ship spiraled out of control. The second hit a command vessel dead center. It split in 2, falling like burning metal rain. The third didn't miss at all. In the refugee camp, cheers broke out. People who once couldn't speak from fear now shouted with joy. A small girl laughed for the first time in weeks. The camp leader looked at the human commander, stunned. You're not just protecting us, she said. You're fighting for us. The commander gave a short nod. Because no one else would. But it wasn't over. 2 Varn ships survived. One tried to flee. The other turned downward straight toward the moon, preparing to crash into the camp in a suicide run. The radar flashed red. Impact in 30 seconds. A Terran tech shouted. The commander looked up. The massive ship glowed like a falling star. He whispered something, and from orbit, Earth answered. A massive Terran warship becloaked above them. It was 10 times larger than anything in the system. Its Name blinked in silent white letters on its hull. TSB Defiance with no words. No warning, it fired a beam of blue light. A single line of energy split the sky. The Varn suicide. Ship vanished. Gone in one silent flash. The camp fell quiet again. No more fire. No more fear. Just breath. And awe. The commander finally allowed himself a slow breath. He turned to the crowd. Not today, he repeated. You are not dying today. You are not forgotten. And as long as Earth stands, none of you ever will be again. A small alien boy ran to him and tugged on his armor. The commander knelt. Are you our family now? The boy asked. He nodded. We are. Asterisk night returned to the moon, but this time it brought warmth. The energy shield glowed faintly overhead. Heaters powered by human tech hummed gently across the refugee camp. Drones hovered quietly, keeping watch. The stars blinked above like curious eyes. And for the first time in many weeks, no one shivered. Refugees gathered near a fire pit one. The humans had rebuilt with strange metal coils that made real heat. Old ones sipped warm broth. Children laughed and played with tearing medical bots. And at the center of it all, the commander sat with the camp leader beside him, quiet, thinking, You could have ignored us, she said. Everyone else did. He didn't respond. She looked at him again. Why did Earth come? What do we matter to you? The commander pulled something from inside his chest armor. It was an old, bent dog tag. Rusted, cracked, but clearly human. My grandfather wore this, he said, during the Exodus riots back on Mars colony. She tilted her head. I've heard of that. The colony that asked for help, but got none. He nodded slowly. Mars burned. Over half the cities fell. Most alien allies said it was an internal matter, said they couldn't get involved. Even the council turned their backs. He held up the tag, the firelight flickering in his eyes. That's when Earth decided. Never again. Never would we wait for help. Never would we stand aside. If others cried the same way we once did. Around them, the camp listened, quietly. Some had never heard this part of human history. The commander went on. We don't help to look noble. We help because we know the taste of being abandoned. The sound of silence when you scream for help. The hunger that gnaws deeper than your stomach. The kind that eats your soul. He looked across the camp. Your children remind us of our own. Your fear, it's the same as ours once was. The camp leader felt her throat tighten. But still, this is a war zone. You risked war with the Varn just to save us? The commander's voice lowered. They forgot something important. What? He turned to her, eyes steady. That Earth doesn't calculate risk when family is involved. Nearby, a young refugee girl, thin, eyes too big for her face, was gently brushing the arm of a Terran soldier with paint. The soldier sat still, letting her draw. On his armor, she painted a symbol, a tree with stars above it. He smiled. What is it? The Tree of Guardians, she said shyly. My mother told me stories. She said it protects anyone who sleeps. Under its branches, the soldier nodded. Then I'll carry it into battle. At the camp edge, an alert sounded. One of the drones picked up a faint signal. Not a threat, but a broadcast. A message. Scrambled and weak, the commander walked over to the comm station and had it replayed. The voice crackled through static. This is Colony 9, Varn space, hundreds stranded, children sick. Request assistance, please. The message repeated. Weak. Fading. The tech looked up. That's outside our mission zone. Far outside. Too deep in Varn territory. The commander was silent. The camp leader stepped beside him. You're going, aren't you? He nodded. I have a camp full of soldiers who know what abandonment feels like. and a ship ready to fly. But this camp, she said. What about these? People? They're safe now, he said. And they're not alone anymore. He tapped his wrist, sending instructions. Within seconds, supply drops activated. Structures began unfolding into solid housing. Human AI systems took over medical operations. Automated defenses powered on. Earth wasn't leaving them behind on it, was giving them a future. That night, as the commander stood before his team preparing to leave for Colony 9, the camp lined up to watch. Some cried. Some stood silent. But all of them knew this. They hadn't just been saved. They had been seen. As the commander boarded his ship, the small boy from before ran up once more. Sir. He turned. The boy held out a small necklace made of string and metal pieces. You protected us. Now wear this, so someone else knows you came. The commander knelt, tied the necklace around his wrist, and saluted. Then he entered the ship. The engines hummed. The landing zone cleared. And Earth's. Warriors rose back into the stars, headed to the next cry for help the galaxy wanted to ignore. Asterisk. The moon was calm. Too calm. The Terran warships had left orbit, heading toward Colony 9. A massive ship, Defiance, remained cloaked just beyond the system's edge, watching from afar. On the surface, the refugee camp thrived with new energy. Terran supplies had transformed broken shelters into warm homes. Food was no longer counted in crumbs. And children played again, this time with laughter instead of fear. But peace doesn't always last, and someone was watching. Far beneath the camp, inside a storage unit marked medical, a strange device blinked red. It was small, no larger, and a hand. No one had seen it. No one had placed it in the inventory. Except one. A figure moved in the shadows that night. Not human, not fully part of the refugees either. He wore torn clothes, blended in easily. His hands shook as he activated the hidden unit again. A quiet voice answered, We see them. Coordinates confirmed. Is the Earth shield active? He nodded. Yes, but their main fleet is gone. The camp is weak now. This is your best chance. A voice replied coldly, And the sky will fall. The man swallowed hard. What do I get? Forgiveness, if you survive. The signal ended. That night, the camp leader walked with a young girl through the newly built homes. Lanterns glowed with soft yellow light. Humans had built a school tent, a medical ward, and even a small tower for communication. All of it had been given freely. The girl asked, Do you think the humans will come back? The leader smiled gently. They always do. That's who they are. But above them, the stars blinked differently. Something was coming. Early the next morning, alarms screamed. Red lights flashed from the Terran auto defenses. Drones buzzed in panic. The protective shield shimmered like water under fire. The sky cracked open once again. 3. Varn warships decloaked just outside the moons. Atmosphere smaller than the last wave, but faster. Targeted. Their mission was not to battle, but to destroy the refugee camp while it was vulnerable. Inside the camp, chaos returned. People ran. Some cried. Others froze. They had thought it was over. They had thought they were safe. A young Terran officer named Rena took command. She activated the camp's defense grid, bringing online the turrets hidden under rocks and walls. But she knew it wasn't enough. We need air cover. She shouted into the communicator. No response, came the reply. The fleet is too far. Her heart pounded. The shield would last a few minutes, maybe less. And then she noticed something. The signal logs. A trace of outgoing messages. From inside the camp. Someone had called them. She followed the trail to the medical unit. The door had been locked from inside. She kicked it in. There, in the corner, sat the man. The betrayer. Sweat dripped from his face. He held a small Varn cum device, but it was too late to hide it. Rena raised her weapon. Why? He looked up, defeated. They said they'd spare me. Sighed Earth wouldn't stay forever. Said you'd? Leave us behind again. She stared at him. We didn't. But everyone always does, he screamed. Everyone. Her face stayed still, cold. Not Earth. She didn't shoot. She turned and ordered the guards to take him away. She had more important things to do. The sky lit up again as the first enemy blast hit the outer shield. This time, it cracked. Another hit. A deep sound echoed through the air. Dust fell from every roof. And then, the sky roared. A new sound. Powerful. Familiar. Engines. From above. A Terran dropship broke through the clouds, cannons firing. Behind, it came another, and another, and one more. They weren't the fleet, but they were enough. Rena's voice came alive with hope. Air cover incoming. The camp watched as 4 sleek Terran fighters danced through the sky like birds of prey. Missiles flew. Explosions tore the silence apart. One Varn ship exploded mid-air, falling in fire. The second tried to retreat, but it was too late. The third dropped something before fleeing. A strange device. It fell fast. Rena's eyes widened. EMP bomb. They want to take the shield down manually. She didn't wait. She ran. With seconds to spare. She reached the outer zone where the device landed. It blinked bright blue. Counting down, she dove, pulled off her power pack, threw it over the bomb. Boom. A controlled blast shook the ground, but the shield still stood. She rolled over, coughing. Alive. Later, as calm returned, the betrayer was brought before the camp. No one spoke. He looked at the people he had almost doomed, and then at the humans who still didn't kill him. Rena stepped forward. You were wrong. We came back. He lowered his head. In the command tent, a message arrived from the fleet. Colony 9 rescued. Mission complete. Returning to orbit. 8 hours. Rena smiled. The sky was safe again, and this time it had never truly left them. The stars above the moon were still glowing, but now they burned with warning. Word of the Varn. Attack had spread. Across secure frequencies, the Terran fleet transmitted one single message to every government in the region. A message not hidden, not coded, not gentle. You strike where we stand, we strike until you fall. The message ended with Earth's symbol, a single blue world surrounded by 13 silver stars. Every admiral, every warlord, and every neutral observer knew what it meant. Earth had drawn a line. And this time, it wasn't just with ships. Commander Juno returned. Before sunrise, the skies were quiet again as his dropship landed in the center of the refugee camp. People gathered quickly, whispering. The children ran to him, some holding small flags made from cloth and wire. He stepped out of the ship, dusty, tired, but still standing tall. Rena saluted him. Colony 9 is safe, sir. He nodded. And here? She hesitated. We had a breach, a betrayal, but no one died. Camp still stands. The commander looked around. The shield still shimmered. The people were safe, but his jaw tightened. Someone tested the line. Inside the new command tent, the human officers gathered. Rena showed him the recording, the Varn ship's last attack, the bomb drop, and the shield barely holding. Juno didn't speak. He only stared at the footage. Then he turned and tapped a secure line to Earth's Central Command. Begin Operation Backlight, he said. The officer on the other end responded quickly. Target confirmed? Galactic broadcast? Juno answered. Simply, yes. Let them all see. 2 hours later, in a far sector of space deep in Varn territory, a hidden fleet emerged from subspace. Earth's black armada. Silent ships. Black metal. No lights. They surrounded a massive Varn base, hidden in a nebula cloud. This base had long been used for launching quiet invasions, assassinations, and planet raids. It was exposed, no warning was given. Earth didn't send diplomats. Sent judgment. The attack was fast, clean, beautiful in its power. The Varn base vanished into a storm of white fire, and Earth's message echoed through the stars recorded and shared across neutral space. This is not about revenge. This is not about pride. This is about a promise. If you harm the ones we protect, you face all of Earth. There will be no more warnings. Back on the moon, the refugees watched the footage play on a large screen near the central square. They watched as the Varn base disappeared. They watched as Earth's ships vanished once more. Silent and without celebration, the leader of the camper. Voice shaking turned to Juno. You did this for us? He nodded. We don't do fear. We do finality. But they'll come back, she whispered. Won't they? Juno replied, only if they want to disappear next. Later that evening, the humans gathered the refugees around a new structure tall, strong, made from dark alloy. It wasn't a weapon, it was a beacon. Juno pointed at it. This is Earth's seal. It means this place is now under our protection. Any ship that comes close will hear it. This world is not alone. He looked at the families, the elders, the children who had once lived in fear. This is not charity. This is not pity. This is a promise. A young alien boy walked up to him. But we are not human, he said. Juno knelt and answered slowly. You don't have to be. Earth doesn't protect based on race. Earth protects based on right. The boy smiled. As stars blinked above once more. Other ships arrived. Not warships, cargo ships, medical ships. Terran builders. They began helping expand the camp, no longer a place of survival, but of life. And far above, satellites carried Earth's message into every dark corner of space. The galaxy had learned something new. Earth was no longer reactive. Earth was watching, and Earth had drawn its line. Asterisk. Time passed, but something had changed forever. The dead moon, once a forgotten rock filled with starving refugees, was now marked on every star map as a Terran-protected zone. Its new name echoed across communication, relays, and political meetings. Haven's Rise. No longer a place of death. It had become a symbol that Earth didn't just speak words, it kept them. Commander Juno stood near the beacon tower, staring out over the rebuilt camp. But it wasn't just a camp anymore. It had grown solid homes, working water, lines, growing gardens. Even laughter returned, not as an accident, but as part of daily life. The alien children had started calling the humans something new, stone arts. Because when everything else broke, they didn't. Rena walked up beside him. She carried a datapad with updates. Supplies from Luna Colony arrived. Mars has approved full resource aid. Even a few alien governments offered apologies. Juno raised an eyebrow. Apologies? She smirked. Quiet ones. Political ones. But it's a start. He looked back toward the camp. And the people? She softened. They've stopped waiting for help. Now they know it's here. In the center square, a ceremony had begun. Not a grand one. Not with speeches. Just truth. The camp leader stepped forward and held out a folded cloth stitched by hand, marked with the flags of many species. She said only one sentence. From those left behind, to those who stood behind us. Juno accepted it with a bow. The crowd didn't clap. They placed their hands on their chests the way humans had taught them. It was enough. But there was still one more thing left to do. That night, Juno gathered every refugee, every soldier, every child and elder. He stood on a platform beneath the stars. His voice, calm but clear, rang through the still air. "You were abandoned," he said. "That's a truth we don't erase. You cried out. No one came. That's a scar that doesn't fade. But Earth came. Because we remember. We were once the ones left behind, too." He looked at the families sitting together now, stronger, standing tall. "You are not human, but you are ours now. And Earth doesn't walk away from its own." He stepped down, and silence filled the air. Then someone whispered, "We don't leave our own." Then another repeated it louder. And another. Soon, the whole camp echoed with the words, "We don't leave our own." Up in orbit, Earth ships watched silently. One final message was prepared. It wasn't for the refugees. It was for the galaxy. It read, "Let this moon stand as proof that unity is not a treaty, or a council vote, or a symbol on paper. Unity is when one ship answers a call no one else would." Earth answered, not because it had to, but because it could. And now that line will never be crossed again. A week later, the fleet began to leave slowly, respectfully. Some humans stayed behind, builders, teachers, medics. Not as protectors, but as neighbors. One small alien girl stood near the edge of the camp, holding a drawing she made. It showed a tall human standing between her and a giant shadow. She ran to Juno before his ship lifted off. "Will you forget us?" she asked. He knelt and smiled for the first time. "Not today," he said. "Not tomorrow, not ever." As his ship rose, the refugees looked up, not with fear this time, but with pride. They had been saved, not by chance, not by politics, but by something stronger. The will of a world that knew what it meant to be forgotten, and chose never to let it happen again. Final line. Earth came when no one else would. And that day, the galaxy learned, humanity doesn't walk away. It stands up and it fights back, because Earth doesn't leave its own. Asterisk.